Okay, it's running.
Woot woot. The other way, Tallulah. You're not invited.
The animals always want to be on the show.
As opposed to the human ones?
What?
As opposed to the human ones?
Yeah. So my name is Kathy Doyle, and this is going to be part of my series called Celtic River. This is an ad hoc interview with an actual survivor of the
Thriver. A
driver,
thriver.
a driver of the
No, thriver.
of the Freedom Convoy.
Thriver.
This is Jewel.
Hey.
Last name will remain anonymous, so she can't be doxed out of existence. And Pierre Trudeau likes to call us a diversified country with
Fringe.
lots of diversification.
Minority.
And then he calls us all Canadians, so we are Canadians.
And a fringe minority. Terrorists. Misogynists.
Okay.
Racists.
Tell me everything.
So, yeah, saw an ad or post about a convoy coming up, about mandates and losing our rights and freedoms. Not necessarily anything to do with vaccines, it's just the bigger picture. And mainstream media prefers to try to divide us and make it about this, make it about that, but bottom line is, it's about our rights and our freedoms. So I saw a post or podcast, something about it, and I decided I had to join. My dad
Okay.
fought in the war. I don't believe in guns, and I have to try to leave this world a better place and make it a better place for my daughter, who's 24. And I thought, well, this is my war and I have to help fight. So I called up one of the road captains and said, hey, how can I join? You know, I have a regular driver's license. I don't have a truck license, but I can keep someone company. I can clean the windshields or, you know, whatever. But I want to go. And she hooked me up with the road captain out of North Delta here. And so I came across on the ferry, stayed with my friend overnight, and she brought me for 6 in the morning, and I met with the gentleman, Colin, and found her hut, and there we went, off part of the convoy. The one of the many moments that just blew me away was Canadians on the side of the highway, everywhere, on overpasses, roads, little towns you pass through that you think maybe, you know, 100 people live there. There was like 500 people, and we were late quite frequently just because of weather, people talking, breakdowns, whatever, you know, police. No, you can't go on this road, you gotta go on this road, even though they'd cleared it all ahead of time. But, you know, rules are rules. So we followed them, and people would be out there for hours on the side of the roads, freezing, calling us heroes. It was like, we're not the heroes, you are. You're the ones standing here in the freezing cold. We're in a nice warm truck. Running up to us with homemade food, store-bought food, restaurant food, cases of water, juice, you know, oatmeal bars, granola bars, windshield washer fluid, diesel additives, letters, homemade letters their kids had written. Thank you for saving us, we believe in you. Just money, here's $50, sorry we can't give you more. It's like, holy man, thank you. It's for the cause. Everywhere, pretty much everywhere we went. Mainstream media never portrayed any large, even medium percentage of all the good. You know, they had us as disruptive, disrespectful. No, none of us were that. I wouldn't say none. maybe one or two, you know, no matter where you go, there's bad apples in the lot, but for the most part, we weeded those out. You know, if there were issues, we dealt with them, and it was about bringing the country together. And this government we have just tries to divide people and tear them apart, cut them down, point fingers and blame. Meanwhile, what are they doing? You know, let's focus on these bad truckers that have started something with love and unity and trying to stand up for our rights and freedoms. Let's focus on all the negative that they're doing, and don't mind us as we, you know, change laws over here and take money from here. And you know, we can do whatever we want over here as long as we get mainstream media focused on these unruly truckers. A lot of those truckers, boy, they're just like the rest of us, barely making ends meet, but well, they've been fired or let go because for whatever reason they couldn't get a vaccine, didn't want a vaccine. And again, it wasn't about the vaccine, it was about being forced. And when you have people, for whatever their reasons are, religious, health, just because they don't like it, whatever, to ostracize them and condemn them, take away their livelihoods, you don't do that to people. You just don't. It's not right. And so I had my sister come in and help out with my daughter, getting her to university, and away I went for 3 weeks. Ha ha ha. I got stranded out in Ottawa. I kind of lost my little group that I was with, and I ended up being away a lot longer than I thought I was going to be. But just the amazing people, not just the truckers, the residents of Ottawa. You know, they said, oh, it's because of the truckers we had to shut down. We pulled into town and they closed their doors. We were ready to spend money there and, you know, give them business, help support them after all the mandates and the COVID, and you can't open unless you're a big box store or, you know, whatever. We wanted to spread the money around and we needed to eat, you know. But no, oh no, it's because the truckers, they had to close down. They caused so much trouble. They were closing them down before you even got there. It was just insane. We had the streets, we were shoveling the streets better than the city workers do. No offense to city workers. But, you know, everything. We left emergency lanes. Mainstream media just, well, they're paid by the government, right? They're owned by the government. So they have to say what they're told to say, and they're not allowed to deviate. So
This is where we discovered Canada is a social democracy. It's actually a socialist democracy, and this exercise brought out the socialist part of Canada. And it used to be an old joke in Canada that the government would say, well, we can't do that. Well, why not? Well, we'll get letters. Sounded silly. One letter, one person motivated to write a letter represents 13,500 other people who have the same opinion, and they know that. So every person on that highway represents 13,500 other Canadians. And that is like enough people to sway an election. Millions of people.
yeah. That's with a non-corrupt voting system, though, right?
Yeah.
When you have corruption there, how do you change? So you stand up and you speak your piece, and you do it with love and unity and bouncy castles and ooh, we're bad, you know. We had no violence. I mean, we took so much unnecessary condemnation, grief, attacks from those that, not all, but from a lot of those that serve and protect us. They weren't even from around here. They were brought in from elsewhere. They were not regular RCMP, regular police. They were not. They were, I don't know, some kind of militia band or something.
There was some film
They did not
of,
play nice at all.
UN planes coming down through Hudson's Bay to James Bay and landing. And I think my opinion is these are international UN troops that were brought in that way, and the answer back was no, those planes go there for maintenance on a regular basis, don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, of course. Filled with people inside though.
But they did say that those men in the green uniforms did not speak English.
Yeah, well, I didn't spend a lot of time in the downtown core, where the main, I spent a lot of it out at an area called Coventry, where one of the hotels had freed up their parking lot for us. And before we could get the dumpsters in and whatnot, the girl, woman, wonderful being that rescued me from Arn prior to the truck stop where I kind of got stranded from my group, and let me stay at her house in Ottawa. She has a business, and we would run around in her 3-ton, and we'd, bring pallets for them. She gave them her axe, and they'd use it in like, those old oil barrels to stay warm with. So she brought the pallets and the axe, they could cut it up, and before the dumpster bins came that we could use, we'd go around and tell the truckers and, all the people that had brought food, the big huge tables and barbecues, and I mean, there was every kind of, it was like an international restaurant that you didn't have to pay for, all vegetarian or meat or, there's everything there, all free, and not just for the truckers, for the people of Ottawa, for other people that had come on the convoy, regular citizens like myself who'd hitched a ride. And so we'd go around and collect the garbage, and she'd take it off to the dump, pay for it herself. We were very respectful. And okay, the honking of the horns, I get it, they're pretty noisy, but how else are you supposed to make enough noise that people pay attention to? And the government refused to speak with us. Had they spoke with us, we wouldn't have had to make so much noise. They adamantly refused, would not meet with us, would not hear us, would not hear our side of the story, would not listen to the people. We are part of the people that elected them at the time, way back when we believed, say politicians, they all make promises and then they all make excuses, right? Well, we're still in the believing the promises part. We elected them, but then they stopped listening and just did what they want and didn't care about us. So, apologies to Ottawa citizens that you had to maybe get earplugs. But we were trying to defend your rights and your freedoms too. Again, it wasn't about the vaccine, it was the other stuff that most people don't. They read mainstream media, listen to mainstream media, and they're so clueless. And within the organization, within the trucker families, from all over Canada and the U.S., we kind of had our own security, and it was just drilled in the whole time. Be respectful. Do not cause any problems. Like if they bring violence, ignore it, walk away, lay down, don't fight back. Like they were just looking for any reason to oh, you guys are bad, So if things, were gonna happen, there was an incident in Coventry, where like a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of got into a kerfuffle about whatever. And a few of the security went up and said, hey guys, like, we get, life isn't perfect, but we can't have any yelling and screaming going on because they're going to pick up on that and, call the cops. And then the next thing you know, we're the bad guys and the violence and he was beaten and, or she was beaten or whatever. There was nothing. It was just a little argument, but we all band together. Hey guys, either, take it home or make friends, because it's about love and unity, and it's about getting out the message that we're here, in love and unity, and we want people to listen to us, and they just, yep, got it, Everybody just stayed calm. And it was really, really hard. Really, really hard, because we were trying to make it loving and peaceful, and at the same time get the message across. And the government and their hired militias were just trying to, at every turn, find a reason to haul us off to jail, or freeze the bank accounts, or take people around the corner and beat them up. Oh, well, he was resisting arrest. No, he wasn't. He was dancing by the bouncy castle, he was doing no such thing, but you decided, no, he's got, wearing a flag. It's illegal to have a flag now, for whatever reason. I mean, the insanity of it all.
The bouncy castles is what pulled the rug out from under this. No matter what you say, they're protesters. They're potentially a serious problem, a medical problem, and they go and they have bouncy castles.
Yeah.
You can't do revolution by bouncy castle.
I guess, but we were just trying to, have families that had children there, but at least be entertained. And the music was to keep us warm. It was cold. It was bloody cold. And I grew up back east. I know what it's like, but it's a lot different when you're out there day and night.
Yeah.
And then the government blocked off a bunch of streets. Oh, it's the truckers' fault. Well, no, we didn't block off the streets. We had everybody, they had access. It was the government started putting it up. They blocked the streets, not us. We were just trying to get a message out. Come on, Canada. Hello. Hello. We're here to help. We got to change this. We got to stick together and make it right for everybody. Not just the select few, for everybody across the board. What's going on now? Look at the price of food. Look at the price of gas. It's insane. And you want people to work for what? $17 an hour. Your rent costs you almost as much as your paycheck. Can't buy a house. You could, but you and your grandchildren will be paying it off. There's no more mortgage burning parties. I can remember those growing up. Once a year or whatever, neighbor down the street, they'd have a big party. All the kids, the husbands, wives get together and they'd burn their mortgage paper. It was paid off. How many mortgages get paid off nowadays?
Well, they turned us into consumers, and now they say we're consuming too much.
Yeah, okay. But let's run the farmers markets out of town, and let's run the mom and pop shops out of town. Now they have the big box stores, those little mom and pop stores, if for whatever reason in the middle of July you wanted to get a Christmas ornament hook for whatever to put something up in your garden, you could go into the mom and pop store and you would find them. There wouldn't be a huge assortment of them, but there would be at least one package of them. You go into a big box store nowadays in July, I don't know, it's only, we only have bathing suits and, we might have Halloween stuff. But you don't get that variety. You don't get the caring. You don't get the respect and hey, how's it going? How's your kids? How's your wife? That connection as humans. We need connection. Now, use the self-serve cashes. Okay, why? So that they can fire a bunch of the cashiers? They have no work now? What do they do for a living now?
Who's paying for the installation of those very expensive electronic machines? They don't have them at Value Village, which is like used clothing, or poor people.
No, well, I'm sure they will eventually.
They have them there now.
But it's because they write it off as an expense. It's an expense. As is, employees' wages, but employees' wages, they're sick one day or, they can't come in. Well, computers never. Well, I wouldn't say never, depending on software issues and whatnot. But power, I look at all these places that have all these automatic dispensing water and soap and automatic flushing toilets. The power goes out. What do you do? What do you do?
You have nothing.
You have nothing. You know, where I live out on Vancouver Island, it's a rural property. It's a well system, and it has a water pump when the power goes out. So if there's stormy weather coming, we fill up the bathtub. We have a bunch of drinking water on the side, but we fill up the bathtub. At least you can flush the toilet because the pump doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and every time I go into one of these restaurants or stores and they got that, I'm like, okay. So, you know, if something untoward happens, natural disaster or whatever, you know, whether, you know, you're out of power for a couple of days, well, how are you going to flush your toilet? How are you going to wash your hands? How are you going to... Old style taps, they'd still work, you know.
I want to put something in here. I just retired from a medical research company, and everything, all the controversy about it is true. And in January 2019, I was sent an international query because I had a medical research company saying, do you know what this is and can you do anything about it, including the DNA printout. And I'm not going to say anymore because I'll get doxxed to death.
Or shot or have a heart attack. You know.
And the world we live in, you have running water, toilets, telephone, television, internet. If you fall over and break your elbow, you call for an ambulance. They come, they take you to the hospital, they treat you. You might have a medical plan in your province that covers it. There's social welfare. There's all kinds of free help. Everything's running. We have on-time delivery of food. Everyone's eating. Ish. And that's under attack in the West by communist forces. And if you look at all the countries that have gone communist, millions of people were slaughtered and the people live in abject poverty. And the phrase they use to promise a better future is, you're going to help us usher into paradise.
You will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah, well, that's
the newest one.
The North American way of putting it. I went through the murders done in all of the recently, since 1940, converted communist countries, and it's millions of people, and not one of them is a paradise. And now it's coming to North America.
But we don't want to see it. A lot of people, oh no, that's not what's going on. You're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. The other problem with communism is they use managers to run things. So the government will run all of the corporations and the supply teams and everything. A manager is not as smart as or as driven as an entrepreneur who can make something work. So first they go, okay, I can't make it work, we'll get more bodies, and after they hire all the volunteer type people, then they look for slavery, they throw more bodies at it. And that is a communist country where you wind up doing slave labor for a government that is actually incompetent to run the thing.
Well, you look at, again, those mom and pop stores, you know, they had employees, and if they were sick, they'd help them out. It was community. It was a bigger extension of family, right? It goes back to like kind of indigenous stuff, you know, if one person couldn't do it, someone else would take over. Everyone would surround and support each other. And then if that happened to someone else, there was always enough to go around. Everybody cared and looked after each other, and now it's like every man for himself, you know. And the food, well, what kind of food are they making us eat? You know, what chemicals, what fertilizers, what is it doing to the land? Look at Mother Earth. She's like angry, and I don't blame her. You know, we're poisoning her, and she's like, yo, hello, humans, like, you know, like if we were to be offed from this planet, Mother Nature would bounce back and be oh so happy, you know, but we're just ruining her because we don't respect each other, we don't respect the land.
It should be taught in the schools. When I was in grade 11, we got to the end of the science book, and the last chapter was on pollution, especially in British Columbia caused by the forest industry. And the teacher said, oh, you don't have to do that chapter because we're not going to cover it. Why not? Because they were told don't cover that.
Well, because
so
it's
we
about
didn't
the
learn
money.
about it until 30 years later when people went, hey.
Where's all the trees? Why is there so many floods? Why is there so many forest fires? Well, Mother Nature does not clear cut and then plant trees all in a nice, neat row. There's a variety, and they grow however they grow, and they all interconnect, and they all feed and whatever off each other. You know, that's how Mother Nature does it. That's how it works. You don't come in and take everything away. Well, then there's no roots to hold the soil together. It's, oh, well, flash flood came, and oh, there's a landslide. Wonder why? Oh, you know. Well, why is because we messed with it. And of course, there's always been forest fires. There's always been, you know, natural disasters, but not to the extent nowadays. Not to the extent nowadays. The water, all the microplastics in the water, and they say, oh, single-use plastics, single-use plastics. Well, bring back glass. You know, what's wrong with glass? It's natural. You can recycle it. It doesn't cause damage to the earth. You know, say, oh, you know, it's climate change, it's the cars, it's this, it's that. Well,
Too heavy to ship.
when COVID came along and there was no airplanes flying over, you know how much the climate repaired itself? Like the earth repaired itself with all that crap going on. It's not the cars and it's not the cows. It's the way the cows are being raised nowadays and the food the cows are being fed that create the methane. You have a normal, regular farm with a whole bunch of cattle eating what they're supposed to eat, you know, not little pellets to maximize growth and eliminate, you know, infections. You fed them real food. They were healthy. The environment was healthy. They pooped. It went, you know, in the grass, and then the grass grew better, and then they could eat the grass, and, you know, it's a cycle. But then you want to stick a whole bunch of cows in one area, feed them crap, and of course they're pooping out not good crap, and then it gets in the environment. So it's not the cow's fault, it's what you've done in the whole process leading up to that. Leave the farmers alone, they know what they're doing.
They went after the Canadian farmers and found out they're the most scientific and efficient farmers on the planet. There's nothing better that you can do.
And we have used to have beautiful earth to do it with.
And 78% of this air is nitrogen. It's almost 80% is nitrogen. So nitrogen is not a problem
No.
from
For Mother
fertilizer.
Nature, you know, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
We don't. I'm sorry to say, we like to think we do.
And second only to the Canadian farmers or the Dutch farmers as far as efficiency and using science and measurements of their fields and percentage of chemical that we do put in there, how many yields we get, exactly what day we're going to plant, because we know that's the day the sun shines. Bang. And they're after them saying, we don't need you. The Dutch used to have the best food in Europe.
Yeah.
I was in Holland. Food is beyond belief.
Yeah. But it was real food.
Yeah.
From real animals that weren't stuck together in cages and led horrible existences, fed crap. You know, they were out in the field and people came by and patted them and, you know, sure they might have eventually eaten them, but they were treated humanely.
Yes.
And if you know how trauma sits in a human body, and what that does to you health-wise, diabetes, cancer, MS, fibro, whatever, tons and tons of disease. You look at when a body is stressed, what that creates. Well, what about the animals that you're now eating? And, you know, people say, oh, well, then be vegan or vegetarian or whatever it's called. I apologize, there's a difference, but stop eating animals. It's the same thing, though, with vegetables. They're finding out now, they communicate with each other, too, you know. They all communicate, everything interreacts with everything.
My company moved a lot of people from being cancerous to non-cancerous, and it was mostly through the mantra of, what are you putting in your mouth? Is it medicine or poison?
And who are you surrounding yourself with?
And
Loving, caring, supportive people, or stress
Yeah.
and hatred and toxicity, you know.
Most cancer patients had a psychopath in their vicinity.
And again,
Husband,
hurt
daughter,
people,
mother-in-law.
hurt people, generational trauma. Look look at it, the indigenous people, what they have suffered. And they say, oh, well, you know, give them all the money. Well, no, it's not about money. It's about what did you do? Okay, how do you fix it? Listen to what they want and they need.
There were 80 million Native Indians in what is now the United States when the white man came, and now there's 800,000. It's a genocide.
Yeah, it is. Us colonists, no, we want that. We're gonna take it. It's ours now. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, well, a lot of the Aboriginal people saved a bunch of them colonists when they first arrived and didn't know what the hang to do, how to survive, how to eat, how to live off the land. And they took them in and treated them like with respect and kindness and
My
slaughtered for it.
great grandfather saved the David Thompson expedition from starving to death during the winter. And his son was named David after David Thompson.
Yeah. Now again, it's all about division. Oh,
Well,
you did this to me, you did this to me, they did that to us, you know. Okay, bad stuff happened. What are we gonna do now to stop that? You know, I'm white. My parents were from Britain. It makes me sick. When I was never a real Catholic, but I attended Catholic services. Are you kidding me? What they've done? It just makes me sick to be white and have a background in Britain because of all the disgusting things. And I'm not just saying white people and British people. It's everywhere. There is bad everywhere, but what do we do to stop it? How do we take the bad and turn it into good? You can't erase what was done. You cannot change the past. But if you change right now, the present, we can have a better future.
Education is the answer.
But
History has to be taught.
Who's paying for the education? The big pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
You know? There's so many doctors. They're not trauma informed. They know nothing about fetal alcohol syndrome. There's still doctors out there saying, oh, it's okay to have a glass of wine during pregnancy. Oh, it's no big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big frickin' deal. But it's not in the textbooks. Well, who's paying to print the textbooks?
I'll tell you who. I flew from Vancouver to Chicago once, and for 5 hours we flew over beautiful wheat fields blowing in the wind. I said, what do they do with all that grain? How can there be hungry people? And they said they make vodka out of it.
To numb the trauma that the people have endured. You know? It's like this toxic drug poisonings. It's the same thing. You want to point a finger, oh, they chose to do drugs. Well, no, nobody, as a child, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a drug addict. No, it's whatever life experiences they've had, that was the only way that they could numb that pain. They weren't given the right tools. Oh, well, there's treatment centers, there's help out there, they can do it, they just don't want to. They'd rather steal from my backyard and go and get drugs and pick on my grandma and try to take her purse. No, do you know how long it takes to get into a treatment center? Months. And what do you do meanwhile? What do you do meanwhile? They won't prescribe you anything to help you. Oh, there's a few. We'll try to get in to see that doctor, to get that prescription, to get you through those few weeks, months, whatever. Oh, they just want to be. No, nobody wants to be, but that's the only way that they could manage. So, hurt people. They do, not on purpose. They've lived certain experiences. They didn't have the right tools. Well, let's start giving people the right tools. There's like people now, I think it started maybe in a Montessori environment of schooling, doing like meditation, and I think they picked up on it in maybe the Bronx or something. The statistics from that were astounding at just teaching young children just how to meditate. And I can't do it. I mean, people say, oh, everybody can meditate, but I'm still having, as a 58-year-old, a hard time wrap my head around how to do it, you know. But these young children, they pick up on it, and their grades turn around. They're like, they followed them in studies. It's done wonders. And that's just like 15-minute meditation in the morning. That's it. How hard is that? But no, let's drill in, you know, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and you got to get an A, and you got to be the, you know, whatever. For what? For who?
Trained as a worker.
What's wrong with being a poet? What's wrong with being an artist? What's wrong with being a seamstress? What's wrong with, and I'm not just saying like male or female. I mean, I don't care if you know, you want to be a seamstress or seamster. Like, I don't even know the person who sews, a person who makes, creators. What's wrong with the creators? You need that balance. There's the doers, the thinkers, you know, we all have something to offer and to share. And the world would be such a most magnificent place. But we've got to come together, and it's really hard when you've got governments that promote hate and division and turn you against each other so that you don't see what they're up to. You don't see. I used to talk about chemtrails. Probably, since I was in my late 20s, people thought I was a nut bar. Absolute nut bar. And now, oh no, it's weather modification. Oh, it's cloud seeding. I'm like, are you kidding me? These are chemtrails. Oh no, it's just like from the airplane. Oh, they're contrails. No, contrails disappear. They don't have crisscrossing in the sky, you know, and then it clouds, it spreads out, and then all of a sudden you either have a ton of rain or you have no rain. Well, you can't do that over here and then expect over here. It's domino effect. You don't muck with that stuff. But now, so my friends are like, ooh, that cloud seeding stuff, that weather modification, is that what you meant by when you were talking about chemtrails years ago? I'm like, that's it. So, I'm no longer the nut bar 30 years later.
I think in 1965 to 67, I had a little observatory on my back porch. I was a science kid. I used to look at sunspots with binoculars. I had many layers of exposed film that were blacked out. Do not try this at home, kids.
Yeah, especially not
And
anymore.
suddenly there would be these white lines across the horizon over your island. And I thought, that's the jets going to Seattle. Why can't they fly 15 miles over here over the mountains? It wouldn't interfere with the sunset. And the next day was always overcast and very cloudy.
Yeah.
And I said, what is that? And they said, they're trying to kill the pine beetles by spraying in the air, and then the air drifts into the interior and kills the pine beetles.
And how well did that work?
Didn't work.
No, and what did they do to all the animals that were below and all the little bugs that aren't pine beetles, like the bees and the birds and the little, I don't know, worms and stuff? What did that do to the trees? I don't know. It just boggles my mind. But you know, people are, I get it, you're just trying to survive. But you've got to realize we are not meant to be solitary. We were created to be in community, and we've got to go back. We've got to go back to the old ways and stick together. I'm scared for my daughter and for her daughter, or son, you know. If she chooses to have, that's fine. If not, there's tons of beings in the world already. You know, it's not like we need anymore, but that would be her choice, her body. You know, and it makes me so sick to my stomach. What can we do? What can we do? And you know, you want to become an extremist. You know, they don't listen to people honking horns Well, what does it take? You know, you wonder why people run around in schools. I don't believe in schools, but run around shooting people. You know, blowing up buildings and stuff. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. But how else, when you try to peacefully say, hey, there's something wrong, there's something going on, and they dismiss you and they ostracize you and they discount you, you know?
Well, my opinion or about a government, if those gentlemen sitting in rooms are working to make life better by passing laws to stop crime and rip-off, and based on Roman law, price fixing even, how come things aren't getting better? Every year we have governments passing laws, and we say, oh, you're not good enough, let's get somebody else in there, and they say, we'll do a better job, and they're passing laws to make things, but things aren't better.
They're not.
They're okay because we have this on-time delivery system where you can get, you know, ambulance, food, hospital, bananas from South America. We could just go and get that right now. And it all works. The electricity's on, the water's running, the gas is being delivered, people are driving their cars, people go this rush hour. All through COVID, we had rush hour here in Canada. People were working.
Essential workers, though, right? And who chose who was essential? Another thing, electric cars. Okay, sure. Do you know where all those components for those electric cars come from? Do you know the child slavery that's involved in that? Do you know what it's doing to Mother Earth to get that stuff mined? Okay, they last, 5 years? They can't recycle them. So you have a car, it's good for 5 years. I know people who still have like 1950s cars. They still work. Hard to find parts now. Okay, so you have a car that might work for 5 years. You can't recycle it. And how do you charge it? Oh, you plug it in. Oh, you plug it into what? Oh, to a dam? Oh, so we need more dams. So we need to kill more fish, cut down more trees. Okay, but it's better for the environment. What? How is that better?
There is
for
not
the
enough
environment?
electricity to power all those cars. And in China, the rare earth element they need to make those batteries is under the Uyghurs in Western China. Uyghurs are mostly Caucasian and Muslim, and the Chinese Communist government would go, if we could only get these farmers off the top, we could dig down and make batteries. That's what's going on there.
Yeah.
And there are supposedly atrocities going on over that.
I wouldn't. Yeah, supposedly. Yeah.
Well, I can't say too much about it.
Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Because we live in a
Blacklisted.
socialist democracy.
So how do we fix it? How do we fix it? How do we come together and fix it?
Well, this is part of it. You said the best thing that came out of the Convoy was awareness. The Canadians, the Trudeau Canadians, realized they're not living in a paradise.
That we are being seriously
I have
controlled.
another set of videos called The Myth of Canada, which I expose.
Yeah.
The lie that Canada is this wonderful, marvelous place where everything's perfect and we all ski and drink beer and wear toques and we're free.
Chase polar bears. It's funny because not only did Canadians become awake, but the world finally got to see. And not because of mainstream media. That was because I was sending a video to my daughter and she sent it to her friend, and they, all the people that were there on the streets or in the convoy were sending it out personally, and then it was going out on social media. And that's how it got awareness. And then the world went, wow, and now they're doing it everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I'm interviewing you, because you're important, because you were actually there. And Canada's doing what? Canada, which is always silent, the truckers are going to the capital to complain about losing their jobs which our Prime Minister is always talking about jobs for Canadians. Canadians were losing their jobs.
Peacefully, just
Legally.
wanting to talk.
Legally, peacefully.
Oh, it was legal till they changed the law.
That's
To
socialism.
Suit, just to suit their need, not the needs of the people. Not the needs of the people. They're not about the needs of the people. They're about their wants. Certainly not ours. But that's okay. We just gotta stand together. Nobody has to agree on everything. But we're adults. And we have to come together and get past the differences. Okay, I don't believe in the same God you believe in. Okay. But I do believe that you deserve respect and I deserve respect. So let's go on that tangent. Let's work off that. You know, you do your prayer, I'll do mine. Come back together and let's build a fence. Let's grow some vegetables. Let's, hey, let me help fix your car. Oh, you need your roof done. Oh, well, I can help. I got a ladder. Oh, hey, and, you know, Frankie Jean or, you know, Lila, whatever down the road. Everybody pitches in. It gets done. You know, it gets done together. And then people aren't alone so much. And they share. And they feel accepted, wanted, loved, needed. And then they don't have that pain, that emptiness, that loneliness that drives them to drink alcohol, do drugs, play video games nonstop, shop, sexaholics. Like, you don't just have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic. You can be a shopaholic, a workaholic. You know, all those families that people go and work all day because they just can't handle whatever is in their life. And they work all day. And then there's the family at home. Then they're missing out on that person who's hurting and trying to numb a hurt now creates more hurt. Or they do it, oh, I want to make a better life for my kids, so I need to do this work. They have to have the new Nikes, or I never had Nikes when I was a kid, or insert whatever brand name, you know, whatever, new video game, or whatever, you know. I never had that. I've got to get that for my kids, so I have to do extra work. And the kids, like, at the time, oh, yeah, I want that because my friends won't talk to me if I don't have that. But then they're like, well, where's my parents? They're never home. They're raised by some daycare person who may or may not care about them, who may or may not treat them well. You know, what happened to the grandparents and the sisters and the brothers, and they all take care of each other. You know, they all work together as one unit for a common goal.
This is deliberate destruction of the family. Started just after World War II. And within the underpinning of this is psychopathy and narcissism, and just plain evil. And it gets into the halls of government, which is supposed to be brokeraging what's fair, equitable, and good for everyone, and they're paid to vote the other way.
Yeah.
If you look at these people, you say they make a promise, but what are you voting for on this issue?
Yeah.
It's a good issue. I voted against it.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a printout of the members of Parliament and what they voted on.
Mm-hmm.
There is a gentleman who stood
You mean
up.
accountability?
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking for accountability.
He stood up in Parliament and said, what about
Silly
these camps that kind of look like internment camps being built in Alberta?
Mm-hmm.
And they cut his mic off.
Yeah.
And was never heard from again.
Yeah.
There
Look
was
at all
another-
the naturopathic physicians that are helping people rid themselves of certain afflictions. I won't say cure disease, but oops, you can edit that out. and all of a sudden they disappear. Oh, they were in a hit and run accident, no witnesses. Oh, they had a heart attack while they were alone. You know, no.
There is a heart attack gun, which was made illegal, but we still have it.
Yeah, well, of course they did.
It was demonstrated in Congress, and Congress said, you can't have this.
But
And
we'll
the
take
CIA,
it.
The CIA went, okay.
Yeah, but we'll take it. Yeah. Energy.
So I would
Can help ya
say
and it can hurt ya.
even Jesus couldn't save the world, and they killed him for trying. And he was able to push it over a little bit from the Roman Empire, which was an imperial
Yeah.
power.
What about Gandhi? Mother Teresa?
And shot. Gandhi was shot for the second
Martin
attempt.
Luther King?
Shot.
JFK?
Shot.
And then there's Trudeau. We attacked him with a bouncy castle and horns.
Well, I mean, Jordan Peterson's a very amazing voice on the planet. He's the kind of person, like, say, Plato wrote a book 2,000 years ago. You can still buy that book in English from Amazon and it'll be here tomorrow.
Really? Isn't that
Jordan
interesting? It's not
Peterson's work
banned?
should be in a book that could be taught in a real school. There's a lady called Ann Coulter in the States, a big, tall, thin, blonde woman who tells it like it is, and she's been writing books for years, and she's very embarrassing to the government because she points out all their lies and flaws and what the correct solution is.
I hope she's got a good bodyguard team around her.
She's 6'4", she doesn't need a bodyguard.
Yeah.
She won't go into politics because she's too dangerous for her. She wouldn't be allowed to do what she says.
Oh, she wouldn't. She wouldn't make it. Unfortunately.
Ethics is no longer taught. That's one of the problems. And ethics would normally be part of a religion, and religion has been pushed off. But you could still keep ethics.
Yeah.
Like if you find somebody's wallet in the street, look up their address and take it to them. So you found your wallet, not pull the money and throw it in the garbage can.
Everybody is someone's son or daughter.
Yeah. So I saw a guy, he had obviously stolen a canoe. The canoe was easily 20 feet long, and he was walking along at 2 in the morning with a canoe. And I went, okay, probably stolen. And what he's thinking is, I've stolen this canoe, now my life's improved because I have a canoe, or I can sell it and my life will be improved. But what he's actually created is guilt inside of himself and loss and despair in the owner of the canoe. So he's created less of a life.
Yeah. But there's no other way for him to improve his life because he doesn't have the right supports. And if he goes to get the help, oh, you gotta wait, or oh no, we're full, sorry. You know, I mean,
I met a musician this week. He's from Lebanon, and he said Canadians are stupid, and not in the sense of you're stupid, but ignorant of what the world's really like. And in Lebanon, the police are not safe to call, let's put it that way. If you get hurt, there's no ambulance to call that will come. If you go to the hospital, it's cash only. There's no medical plan. And it's just too bad. And while you're lying on the ground, people will rob you while you're bleeding. And a lot of the world's like that. We call it, well, it's called the third world. These are countries teetering between totalitarianism with AK-47s and communism with AK-47s.
and then a government who wants to ban them all and keep them for them so that they can keep you in check.
Yeah. So that's coming to North America and Britain and Australia. Australia's always been bad. Since the deep sleep experiments and other things. They have no regard for human beings as individuals. And the war between Russia and whomever is an exact duplicate of the war between the U.S. and USSR over the Cuban Missile Crisis.
You look at every war.
Which is Jupiter has made its closest approach that it ever makes to the earth right now, and we've got U.S. and Russia. And 50 years ago exactly, we had the same two people going, it's caused by planetary influences on the minds of people.
Energy. And you can have good
That could be
energy.
taught. This is in a book you can buy from Amazon. There's people making videos about it.
And it's also not learning from our history.
Yeah.
Right? Not looking at it going, ooh, that didn't turn out too well last time. Maybe we should try something different. Maybe we should try something different.
Well, there are cycles. There's a 400-year cycle of Saturn. There's the 50-year cycle of Jupiter. Jupiter's like if you put a BB beside a basketball. That's the comparison in size. So don't tell me it doesn't affect us.
Oh, come on now. There's no chemtrails.
There's 10,000-year cycle where the four outer gas giants line up and all their magnetism and gravity points at the Earth, and it causes what would look like end times, like earthquakes, volcanoes, and all that.
So here's something for you, not to take off what you're talking about, but if you look at Earth and you look at the oil inside Earth, to me I think of that as blood. It's Earth's blood. Okay? You keep sucking all the oil out. Don't get me wrong, I was just talking about, gas cars versus electric cars. But you keep sucking that oil out. How does Mother Earth replenish her blood? And cars aren't the only ones that use gas.
Every house has an oil furnace. We never talk about that.
Or electric ones.
I don't know anything
But
about
what
oil
about-
because John Diefenbaker told me I obviously didn't understand international oil.
Well, there's also the fact that, all these things, plastic. You need oil to make it. How much plastic is in the world? That's where a lot of the oil's going. Well, let's ban a straw. Okay, you want to ban a straw. You want to ban a plastic bag at a grocery store. Okay. But what about you go to buy a package of something? The package is plastic. The inside is plastic. And then it's got individual plastic, like, let's say turtles, chocolates. Used to come in a box. There was 2 plastic trays and a bunch of turtles in between. Now it comes in a smaller box. Every single turtle's got its own little plastic wrap. You can't recycle those. And that's another thing, recycling. Oh yeah, we recycle it. We just ship it off to another country. It's not recycled. We ship it off. Someone's making money. Someone's making money. And then what about, I think it's the Netherlands, Norway. One of those countries, they actually buy garbage off other people because everything that they have is somehow incinerated with mega filters, and so they have no garbage because they burn it. And when they burn it, they take the steam or the energy or the heat. I don't quite understand it, but basically they have no garbage, and they have to buy it, and they heat, and there's no pollution. It's there's another, I can't remember which country it is again, I'm bad that way, where if you sell an appliance, like a fridge, the people that make the fridges are responsible for getting rid of it. So you buy a fridge, it'll last you, like back in the day, 40, 50 years, because they have to pay for it to be recycled. They don't want it. Over here, they don't guarantee anything. Things are made to break. So you have to buy another one. You have to buy another one. You have to buy another one. Not made to last. They're made to make someone money. Like I said, there's 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and some 80s cars.
You just found the no solution, which is that's not working. Capitalism in that form is not working.
Yeah.
And you have communism would say, look at that, how terrible and wasteful it is, let's get together and usher in the paradise where the government will make sure everything's equitable and handled. And yes, you will pay to recycle your plate. And we go, oh great, that's what we want. And what you wind up with is an AK-47 in your face.
But why can't there be a third option?
Well, nobody's come up with it. So I said you've hit on the problem. If present day capitalism isn't working, but it's produced this paradise with the heat, light, ambulance, phone, medical, call a doctor, go to university world.
Have a ton of student loans and debt that you have to pay off, so you have to ignore your family, who then gets stuck in daycares and never see you because you have to pay off your student loan debt to become a doctor.
Yeah.
And what are you taught? You're taught what they want you to learn. They don't teach you how to fix people. Sure, stitch something up kind of fix. But when it comes to realistically disease, here, take this pill. Take that pill. Oh, take this potion. Get that shot. You know, nothing about eat better food, get rid of stress. You know, none of that. Where's all that?
Well, that's part of money capitalism. And I've studied this for a long time, 50 years. If you say, I want to destroy this game because it's no good, you better have an alternative or they'll attack you for that.
Oh, they're going to attack you either way.
So the communists always use the same game as, our game will be better than that. So people go, okay, we'll go with that. And then they realize these people aren't
crap.
smart enough to run the ambulance, the hospitals, the telephone company, where you can have it and afford it and call. My phone's broken. Next morning at 7 a.m., some guy with 1,000 tools shows up and goes, what's wrong with your phone? And fixes it. Where did he come from? He came from BCIT training, and he's got $20,000 worth of tools on his belt, a $40,000 truck, and 8,000 guys he can call and say, the red wire is connected to the green wire. This doesn't look good. What should I do?
Yeah.
And somebody opens a book, which was printed somewhere. It goes, never connect the red and the green wire or it won't work. Huh. All that background is what has been built since World War I, and the Mr. B says we're going to build back better than this. But we have to destroy it first. It's very risky.
It is risky.
Replace it with
But
what?
the road we're on, there's way more risks on that. We're seeing the results.
Yeah.
It's not working.
No, I did see something amazing. I wonder, how do they sell this to the politicians? I saw a very short video about the new city. It was 100 miles.
Not those 15-minute cities.
No, 100 miles long, 10 to 30 stories high. It was facing the sun, so all the front of it was solar panels, and it was glistening in the sun. It wasn't too thick. But what was in there was living for, pick a number, thousands of people. And the pharmacies were there, the restaurants were there, the grocery stores were there, the doctor's office, everything that you would see here was all in there. And outside of it was just beautiful green, lush earth. And that's probably what they're showing people, saying, we could live like this. We could take all of where we are now, Surrey, what is there, 100,000 people here, 400,000 people?
Sure.
And put them in one building, solar powered, no pollution. Everything's handled out the back door and turned into fertilizer for more. Great. But that has to be paid for and built by young men with hammers and nails and rivets, and steel has to come and glass has to come.
And
Solar panels
when
have to.
do you have the time, and are you allowed to go out and visit on the grass? Or are you stuck in your little cubicle working 10 hours a day?
Yeah.
Right? There's a thing called HOUR.SHE. I think his name was Michael Reynolds, was the architect. And it's like a self-sustaining home. But city bylaws and whatnot. No, can't have that. It composts itself. It has its own little garden inside. The heat and the cool is all, it's all natural.
I've seen that. That would be the science fiction future. That was written in science fiction books in the 1950s.
Well, we're living 1984 right now.
Yes.
You know, people don't believe it, but we are. So we're at it.
Yeah, we managed to
Big
hold it.
Brother. We got
hold it
Alexa and we got Siri.
Yeah.
You know.
We held it back for 40 years, and here it is.
It's in our face now. But again,
Something I did is looked up the war in Ukraine. Well, wait a minute. Before all this happened, somebody said somebody's shelling somebody. So I went, who is shelling whom back in 2014?
and why?
Yeah. I didn't get a clear answer, but it was
Follow the money.
some part of Ukraine was shelling some part of the Donbass, and it's not clear whether who's Russian or not, or who's shelling whom. But in the modern world of 2023, according to the United Nations, you should not be shelling your neighbors. Like big gun, 55 feet long, boom, is landing in a neighborhood. No. Like what? Is it a genocide? Are you just killing people? Are you just trying to take the land? Are you a psychopath? What is it? That was what was going on there. Something like that. It's like if the people here in Surrey were shelling the people in North Van because they're rich. We hate them. Okay.
And so what does the UN do? Go in and fix it and then take everything over and run it their way?
Well, Putin said the reason I'm going in there, and this is a special military operation, not just a military operation, where Russia went into Afghanistan after the oil, but don't talk about that. Do you know there's oil in Afghanistan? There's huge pipelines that go across the Middle East to Europe.
Really?
Yeah, oil. Unbelievable.
Who knew?
To stop that, under the auspices, I guess, of those are Russian people and somebody not Russian is shelling them, I'm going to stop it. I'll send my military and go, don't do that or we'll get you. And your little dog too. And it became what it is now.
Yeah.
No one is talking about that little piece of information. Who
Follow the money.
was shelling whom?
Who's making the money?
I don't know. I couldn't get a...
Who's selling them the shells? Who's selling them the missiles, the guns?
Oh,
Who's
you're a
selling
bad girl.
them? I know I am.
This is why they won't put you on TV.
Perhaps.
That's the crux of that. What was that? It's like it turns out the Gulf of Tonkin incident was fake. It started the Vietnam War. Somebody from North Vietnam shelled supposedly a U.S. torpedo boat.
Follow the money. Again,
Yeah.
follow the money. Look at the money. Where the money? Who's making the money from that? What do they have to gain? And they say when you point a finger, it's 3 point back at you. So, people have here's my weird kind of a hope. Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. It is. The government, the resources, Mother Earth, everything. But if we can stick together, we can do it. Right now, we are building roads, building homes, milking cows, running machines. We are doing it. We don't need them. So we get rid of them. We still do our job. We still do our jobs. Things will still run. We'll still be able to eat. We'll still be able to have roads. Okay, who's going to pay for it? Well, okay. Let's work on that, own a grocery store. Okay, you need $200 worth of groceries? My toilet needs fixing. Here you go. You need tires? I need a roof. Whatever. We all have the knowledge. We all know how to do something. We've done it. Maybe we don't like it. Maybe we want to be something else. But we know how to do it if we stick together and we do it and we share. Oh, what do I get out of it? Well, okay, here's what I need. Here's what you need. How can we? Oh, well, my neighbor next door, or my cousin, my friend. You know. Well, let's start doing that.
That will have to happen if things collapse, because I went the
That's
day
what I'm saying, if
that
it
COVID
collapses.
became official.
Yeah.
I went to a grocery store, and all they had was one roll of paper towels, and all the Black Forest cakes were on sale for $4. The place had been decimated. And that's just the whiff of COVID. Just the, what? There's a thing, a pandemic? Oh my God.
Okay, so now 4 or 5 people have a crap ton of toilet paper,
Yeah.
but they have no
Beans.
beans.
Yeah.
They've got penicillin. They've got NyQuil. They've got diapers. They've got, again,
Yeah.
come together. Share.
I think you'd also be accused of hoarding and price fixing and killed for doing anything to make money on doing that.
It's not about making money. Again, it's about making people happy and thriving. Instead of always in this lack and this survival mode of frenzy, of chaos, of not good enough, need more, have to do more, get more, be more. No. Share. Come together. Don't look at them as your enemy. People are people. Everybody's someone's son or daughter. And then the bad, they can't affect us. They can still try to do whatever they do, but we're not going to I can't hear you when you're a kid. I can't hear you. No, we're working this out. We're fixing the road. We're driving the trucks to bring the food that the farmers are milking cows. Do you know that if they make too much milk, they just dump it? They're only allowed to make so much milk. The rest, they have to dump.
That's stupid.
They have to dump it.
Yeah.
Why not connect it to something that's,
It makes cottage cheese.
I don't know,
Yeah.
feed the poor? No, they have to dump it.
Well,
And if they don't, then they lose their farm.
that's the part of the missing solution. And what you're telling me is you're being a philosopher? Philosophy never wins. It influences. Like Gandhi did what he did. He got the British out of India. And then he was going for a second round, and he was shot. John Lennon and his band changed the world. And when he moved to America, they were afraid he was going to get political, so he was shot.
There's I don't know her name, and even if I did, I would mispronounce it. She's an Indian woman, and she stood up against Monsanto. She grouped a whole bunch of the farmers together for GMOs, and they won. They won. I wish I could remember her name. Apologies, my memory. Names, countries, whatever. It was bad. But she won.
Was she shot?
Nope. She's still alive. She's still speaking. Lovely woman. But she stood up and said, no, we will not have this here. We will not. Because they were trying to make all the farmers conform and only have their seeds. And they're like, no, we don't want it. We don't want it. And they were like killing some of the farmers and whatnot. And they all just banded together and said, no, you're not coming in. You will not. And they didn't. They didn't. Yeah, she rocks. That's how you do it. You know? killing, wars. Just no. This is not okay. You're not going to do that. We will not. I mean, she didn't do any killings. They were killing farmers to get what they wanted, to convince them, coerce them, educate them. You know.
Circling back, as Jen has taught us, the number 2 in command in the convoy, 28 years old, died suddenly. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
The government said the autopsy will take 2 months. Now, haven't they seen CSI? Well, an autopsy doesn't take 2 months. And it was never released.
Do you know the amount of people that have died from whatever? Do you know how backed up they are right now with autopsies? And if they can fluff it off to natural cause, this, that, this, whatever fits the easiest box, poof, that's it. We're out of here. Stamp of approval. They're dead. Gone.
Okay, that would explain it rationally, that's why it would take 2 months. But everything in Canada, here's a news item that's inflammatory. Weeks pass.
Oh, you'll hear
It
about
just
it
goes
again.
away.
Yeah.
The Canada has something to do with Wuhan. There was a Chinese lady and her husband who were working in Canada. Remember they were
Oh, yeah.
kicked out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The paperwork exists. Parliament said, we want to see the paperwork. The guy who has the paperwork said, I have a law in my division that says I'm not allowed to release any restricted information.
Yeah.
What's the right word for that?
Classified.
And the Parliament said, we're the highest court in the land. We want that information. He said, I understand that, but I have my rules, which is I'm not allowed to reveal. What's the word when something's secret?
Secret.
Secret information that only the government.
Classified.
Classified information.
Yeah.
So this is classified information. They said, we don't care. We're Parliament. We're it. Give us. He said, I'm sorry. My hands are tied.
Huh.
He's probably within 150 yards of Parliament. So why didn't you take the sergeant at arms who has a real gun, go down there and say, give me the paperwork, thank you, and walk back to Parliament and say, there you go.
Or just say, thank you, you can go home now.
Yeah.
Screw the gun. You can go home now and take it. But are you gonna find real paperwork? Is it gonna be the truth, or is it gonna be a whole bunch of blacked out stuff?
Redacted, that's the word.
Right.
Just so anybody international watching this, some guy shot the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and then tried to go into the Parliament buildings. He was shot 17 times by the sergeant at arms and other people with guns in the Parliament. So,
I'm very sad to hear about anyone dying. I wasn't aware of a 28-year-old. I don't suppose you know their name.
there's the lady, the main lady. She had a male partner friend. They were co-leaders of the whole convoy thing.
Again, you know, everybody said, oh, they were an organizer, they were a leader, they were this, they were that. But you can't really be that, or else you're going to go to jail, unfortunately.
Well, why would a 28-year-old die, and why him? Out of all the 28-year-olds, the guy who was the instigator, head leader, figurehead in the convoy thing.
Do you know which like, was he from the east or
I think he's from Alberta.
Alberta? I'm gonna have to look into that. That's very distressing. But again, it's like those naturopathic doctors. Like, look at Tesla, Nikola Tesla. He had a whole way of like free energy, magnets or something. I don't know what exactly, but doesn't pollute, doesn't hurt Mother Earth, and nobody makes money off it. Oh no!
Well, the solution to that is to give that to the oil companies to say, here, say you discovered it, save the world. And you get no pollution, and they can still make money. Do we care? Not really.
Well, then they can't keep making it.
No, you make a car with that as the motor. You make that as a fridge with that as the motor.
Yeah.
and you're no longer digging for oil, refining oil, and you're heroes. Look what we did. Your fridge will probably run for 150 years.
Are you clouding the issue with facts? Are you trying to cloud the issue with facts?
Yeah.
Are you trying to make sense?
Yeah, I know how to make the thing. It's easy.
I
You
wouldn't say that too loud.
You bring two plates so close, it's just molecules apart, and connect a wire to each side, and it pulls energy out of the universe, and you convert it to electricity. There's one machine like that in the university. I think it's in Seattle in the basement, and you can go look at it. You go, there it is. See you later.
But it's illegal if you want to make it.
It's not illegal, it's just not allowed. But the solution is give it to the oil companies.
Yeah, but
And
then
let them say, we discovered this,
yeah,
we've
but
sold.
they wouldn't have power over you then. How
They
do
can charge you for the energy. Just there's no more burning of oil.
Yeah, but then someone will say, "Oh, I'll make it myself, and then I won't buy it from you."
It's patented. We discovered it.
And there's solutions out there. Maybe we're looking so hard we can't see them. See, you're looking with your eyes closed. My dad used to say that to me. I'd walk by something looking for my jacket. I'd walk by it so many times. I'm like, I can't find my jacket. And he's like, hey, you're probably looking with your eyes closed. Sure enough, I'd walk back, and there it is, right there where I'd walk past 5 times.
There's an old soupy story of a man who's walking down the street at night, and he sees an old man under a street light going like this, and he says, what are you doing? He says, I'm looking for my key. And he said, well, where did you lose it? He said, over by the door, but there's more light here.
True that.
Yeah. I think we've reached the natural end of this. What do you think?
Sure.
We're going into Zen teaching.
Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jewel. You are a Jewel. She was going to
Jules.
save the world.
Jules the gem or the treasure that should be buried. I don't know. It depends on who you ask, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Stay well.